Switching to Linux.
This video gonna be full of hate.
Linux
To Linux.
gaming on Linux.
I've jumped over to Linux.
Linux Mint.
Linux.
PewDiePie has started using Linux.
Linux.
Good morning, everyone. As you guys may have seen recently, PewDiePie made a video titled "I switched to Linux, so should you." You know what I did on that exact day? I reinstalled Windows because I've been using Fedora for 3 days, Arch for a couple of months before that, and Debian based distros off and on since I was about 10. Now, Linux is great. You get nearly infinite customization, options I didn't even know I wanted. Just to give you a couple of examples as to what Linux can look like, I've got a couple of images that I've ripped from Google and a subreddit called Unix. Probably not allowed to say that word, but I will put them across the screen now. These are all Linux desktops and they all do the same thing, just they look different. So there's no massive company spying on you in the background, and more importantly, taking up your precious system resources. You can change anything in the operating system, whether that be the desktop itself. Take a look at GNOME. Yes, it's GNOME. It's not GNOME. Stop pronouncing it like that. KDE, or for more advanced people, tiling window managers like Hyperland or i3 or Sway. There's also the plentiful open source software support, which honestly works better on Linux than on Windows, and it's free. Finally, I'd just like to mention you can just kind of dual boot Linux and Windows, with Windows occupying less space on the drive, which is great for people like me who play Fortnite with my mates to catch up over the holidays. Yes, I haven't played it in months, Sam. There's so much to love about Linux, right? And no, I'm not glazing like someone glazes Apple. So, you might be asking, why would you switch back to Windows? And well, I've got an answer to you, for you. Nothing works on Linux. This does seem to be a me-only problem, so I'd assume I'm doing something wrong, except it can't be me, because on a fresh install of Fedora, with a fresh install of Steam, and a fresh install of all of my games, they only work on the oldest native runtime. This didn't happen on Arch, where Steam just wouldn't load. The Flatpak version saved me though, thank you Flatpak devs. Nor did it work on Debian, where the latest package for Steam at the time was a year old. I don't know, this next one isn't Linux's fault, but DaVinci Resolve's free version, I can't afford Studio Armor 14-year-old. It can't work with MP4 files, nor AAC audio, which is what MP4 or audio is encoded in Linux. And you might be saying, just transcode it then, except I can't, because I can barely write any sort of code on my own, and all the ones I found online didn't work at all. This is because AAC and MP4 are paid codecs, but I mean, come on, like, none of the other solutions work. Then you've got the kernel panic problem. Basically, in Linux, when something busts up your kernel, you get a kernel panic warning, which is fine. Like, at least it gives you a warning, except when you search for it and nothing comes up. It's even worse when it doesn't even throw a warning, Debian, and it just shows you a black screen.
This is what nuked my Debian install, and it's a good job I had a Fedora Live USB in my drawers to get my files off of it. Then there's the bootloader thing. I quite like the bootloaders on Linux. They're much more customizable than Windows is. But a large percentage of the time they'll just like not load. Like every single one of the three main ones, Grub, Refind and Systemd boot, all have this. That's a lot of problems. So what are my options? I've got A, keep using Linux. I can barely use Windows without it crashing, so that's not really a good option. B, buy a Mac and use macOS. I can't afford a Mac, they're too expensive. Or C, I just use Windows. I don't want to, but I had to decide, so I decided on the third, because I just need an OS that works, man. Now, none of the problems would make me willing to switch back to Windows if it was worse, and it is, but with a couple of tweaks and 30 minutes of customization, I got Windows to look incredibly similar to my Arch Linux setup. For the window manager, you can use Komorebi. I don't know whether I said that right, it's a Japanese word, but I do use the default Windows manager right now. YASB, I'm not going to try to pronounce that for the top bar. It's an alternative to a app called Waybar on Linux, and the rest of my apps are also available on Windows. Surprisingly, a lot of things in Windows can be done from the command line. I've gotten pretty used to troubleshooting from there, and I could, if I needed to. Moreover, installing apps with Winget or Scoop or Chocolatey is literally the same as a package manager in Linux like apt or DNF.
Think fast, Chuckle Nuts!
Pacman from Arch Linux, and an Arch Linux user repository helper like Yay is slightly better, but it's much harder to get used to. And Alacrity, the terminal emulator I used on Linux, is also available on Windows, and it's pretty cool. It also appears to be much harder to make a local account on Windows anymore, except my dad had Rufus installed on his PC, so this bit is the spyware part for Windows. Windows isn't technically spyware because Microsoft tells you that it is spying on you, but for someone to spy on you, you need to not know that they're doing that, which most people don't read user license agreements and stuff like that, which means technically it's spyware, but it's not because it's in the agreement, and if it wasn't, it would be illegal. And also, I forgot to add, it's the same with most operating systems. Like, take Linux as an example. It is clear, and it's only one small toggle instead of like the 5 steps you have to go through with Windows. But it's still there, and it's the same with macOS, although for Linux and macOS it's usually opt-in. it sucks. Linux doesn't have this problem, mostly because it's open source, so none of the companies that make Linux distros can hide anything. But there is a solution to the Windows problem. Like I said, install Rufus and select the Make a Local Account option in the dialog box that comes up. You can select any others from the option dialog, and now all you've got to do is chuck the Windows install on a USB and put it on your PC. The spyware on Windows isn't great, but the operating system is, and with a couple of to Microsoft, most of the spyware just kinda disappears, and I say most of it because you can't get rid of it all. But yeah, this year might be the year of the Linux desktop, but maybe not for me. I do like it, and I'll continue to use it on my laptop and other devices like my Minecraft server, which in fact I need to get back up and running because we got new internet anyway, but I can't really use it on my desktop without stuff breaking. It takes too much time to troubleshoot, and when you're doing any sort of work, whether that be schoolwork, actual work, video editing, which no, that's not really, well, I mean it is if you do it as a job, but I'm not doing it as a job, so it's not actual work, but you know what I mean. When you are doing any sort of work, troubleshooting time is not on the table. I think that's it then. I hope you have a lovely day, and thanks for watching. I will see you all in a couple of weeks. So, yeah. Jesus Christ.